So who knows? I don't know.
They had a good team. We'll get started here just in a couple minutes. We're having some technical difficulties at the school district.
Okay, well, at least can you hear me now? You can? Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. I'm so sorry. I was having technical difficulties with my computer trying to get logged on here. And so I apologize. I think we can go ahead and get started. We are going to go down through the agenda just like a regular board meeting, except David, we're not going to do a workshop. We're just going to David will put his input in as we're doing the discussion piece of the agenda items. All right. So everyone, let's go ahead and bring the meeting to order. And we'll start with the flag salute. Everybody should see the flag there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Carrie Armagost.
Here.
Megan Dreher.
Here.
Jen Fight.
Here.
Diane Page.
Here.
Corey Sherman.
Here.
Lena Southworth.
Here.
Jameen Stump.
Here.
Kelly Terwilliger.
Here.
Mark Vertel.
Here.
well, let's try that all again because apparently I was on mute. We'll go ahead and we'll get started here. Just a couple of things to keep in mind, that if you're not talking, if you could keep yourself on mute so we don't get a lot of feedback. So personnel, let's see, Mark, would you like to take us into personnel, please?
On the bottom left-hand corner, Mark, if you see your mic, you can unmute it and press your space bar.
Okay, I had the same issue again. Till Mark can get that figured out, we'll move right along and have somebody else figure that out. Kelly, could you do the personnel, please?
Sure. We have consideration to hire. My mind just went blank. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Kelly, it's Sarah Heil.
Sarah Heil at a first step as a kindergarten teacher upon receipt of all appropriate documentation at a salary of, and David, I don't have that salary.
I got it right here. It's $5,078.
I don't believe it was in your email that I looked at, so.
Yeah, are you on mute, David?
This is what reverberating.
No, it's okay. $45,078, Kelly.
Okay, so we're going to consideration to hire Sarah Heil at the first step as a kindergarten teacher upon receipt of all appropriate documentation at a salary of $45,000. And was it 700, David?
$78.
$4,078. $40,078.
$45,078. I'm sorry about that. We must be having some mic issues here at campus.
Okay, third time's the charm. $45,078. So moved.
Great.
Diane Page, second.
Thank you, Diane. Is there any discussion from anybody in regards to this motion? All right, hearing none, we're going to take a roll call vote. Tammy?
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jen Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
Mark Vertel.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So we've hired Sarah Heil as our kindergarten teacher. Yay, awesome. All right, so instructional services. Megan, would you do this, please? And if we could do the A and B before we get to the discussion piece, just to get those out of the way, I'd appreciate it.
The agenda I'm looking at doesn't have an A and B on it.
All right.
Are you seeing it on your screen, Megan? Do you see it on your screen? They're sharing it.
Okay, give me one sec. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so letter A, under instructional services, consideration to approve the rehab services agreement between Glen Den Enterprises, a Next Steps Enrichment Center, and the AC Valley School District dated December 21st, 2020 as attached. So moved.
Lena
Kelly
Southworth,
Terwilliger,
second.
second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about this?
Jen, I just had a couple pieces if everybody can hear me okay this time around. That's to provide.
David, I can't hear you.
Okay, how about that? Is that better? Okay, Lena's got a thumbs up. Megan, just to add a little bit of information into that, we are contracting out for a company to provide additional vision support for one of our students who are visually impaired. We work in conjunction with the IU6 program, but since they're closed down, they're unable to send workers out. So I had Tim Dadich seek alternative options. So we actually have the exact same person who works through the IU coming down through with this particular program here, and actually knows the student quite well. So we are making a recommendation to approve that when needed if the IU were to shut down again.
Is there any other discussion or questions from anybody? All right, seeing none, I'll have Tammy take the vote.
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jennifer Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
and Mark Vertel.
Aye.
Okay, great. Motion carries. So we can go ahead and get those set up for that kiddo.
Okay, letter B, consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District Technology Mentor Program. Information booklet as attached, so moved.
Kelly Terwilliger, second.
Okay, my computer's kind of freezing, but I think I heard Kelly do the second. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So, David, do you have any information about this or want to say anything about this?
Yes, we created that program. We modeled it off of our new teacher induction program. We felt as if there were a need for some of our teachers here at AC Valley to have a mentor as we make the transition from face-to-face into distance learning and back and forth. So in conjunction with the administration and the school board, I put together the packet in front of you. We are looking at a $600 stipend for the mentors to work with the mentees to enhance their skill set using technology.
Sorry, guys, we're just having a little hard time here. Seems like there's a big delay when over on this side of the library. So I apologize. We're having a delay in what's being said. So does anybody have any questions for David in regards to the handbook for the mentor program?
No, I think it looks great, David. Thank you.
All right. Hearing nothing else, I'll have Tammy take the vote.
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jennifer Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
Mark Vertel.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you for putting the work into that, David.
Sure thing. Hopefully my mic's working better now.
Yes, it is.
All right, discussion now regarding the reopening of the school district.
Jen, do you mind if I get started?
Yeah, absolutely, David. Go right ahead.
Okay, I just have some updated information. I did listen to Dr. Levine address the state today. She said that we have 7,000 additional new cases. That takes the case number to 563,589 cases, with 61% of those people recovering. Today, we had 57 new deaths, 99 deaths over the weekend, taking a grand total to 13,981. The percent positivity rate in the state, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, had dropped slightly to 16%. So that was a decrease, but still double digits. And at this particular moment, there's 44,290 children ages 5 to 18 who tested positive. In the last 2 weeks, we had just over 12,000 students in that age range test positive as well. The good news is she said that there were 17,700 vaccines that were given to healthcare workers today. With the attestation form that Jen Fight and I signed and submitted, I'm going to just talk about some of the recommendations, which are no requirements. This information can be found at the Pennsylvania Department of Education's website. It's education.pa.gov. It talks about the instructional response models and the resources available on the website. It is important to note that a safe return to in-person instruction will look different across every school within the state. Different districts and counties, depending on a variety of different factors and data sets that the school board and administration continues to use. School entity decisions on instructional models require a great deal of consideration of the local factors, including the size of the school entity, classroom size, school resources, proportion of students and staff with special needs, and various underlying health conditions. The recommendation contained in this guidance relies on two standards of the public health matrix, and the one's the incident rate, and the other one's the percent of positivity rate. So the county is now in substantial, and actually all four of them. So if there's a substantial rate of greater than 100, the county is in a substantial category, and it is recommended to be fully remote. So Armstrong County has a substantial rating of 403, Butler County's 361.9, Clarion's 397.1, and Venango's 624.2. And then the percent of positivity, depending on the number of people getting tested and how many come back, if the number is greater than 10%, PD recommends full remote learning as well. So Armstrong County today is at 18.5%, Butler's at 14.4%, Clarion's at 16.5%, and Venango's at 18.6%. Due to the data listed above, my recommendation is to stay in the distance learning model that we're currently educating our students at until at least January 11th. We can make this determination and then vote on it on the 11th that night, and hopefully set ourselves up for success. And the reason why I show that information to you and make that recommendation is because all four counties are insubstantial at this time, and I'm concerned about Christmas and the gatherings that we may have, and if people were traveling to get back in here on January 4th. Secondly, if we return too soon, that could actually cause us a further delay. Because again, as that attestation form that I referenced earlier requires us to do contact tracing, enforce face coverings, and social distancing. So within the guidance at the same website, education.pa.gov, you'll find recommendations for COVID positive cases within school districts, and it has a low, moderate, and substantial category. So since we are substantial here in Clarion County, if we have one case within a 14-day rolling period, then it is recommended that we alter the schedule, we do deep cleaning, and we contact the Department of Health and begin contact tracing. If we have 2 to 4 cases that are positive within the school, this recommendation from the Department of Health and Department of Education requires us to close for 3 to 7 days, continue the contact tracing and quarantining individuals who've been in close contact. If we have 5 or more cases, then it will be the recommendation to close down for 14 days for deep cleaning and contact tracing and quarantining. But just keep in mind that if the case investigation, the contact tracing, cleaning, and disinfecting can be accomplished in a faster time, the length of closure could be limited, but there's many factors going into that. Department of Health, PDE recommend a full remote learning model for all schools and counties with substantial level of county transmission. And just keep in mind that all 67 counties are now substantial. And I just want to give you a little bit of information and clear up some terminology. So a case is the person who's been identified with the virus that causes COVID-19, and they're confirmed. Isolation is when the public health staff directs cases to stay at home. So if somebody weren't positive, but they were living with somebody who were positive, they'd be isolated until they get tested to come back negative. Close contacts are individuals who have been exposed, and generally speaking, it's 6 feet within 6 feet distance for more than 15 minutes, but there's various other factors that go into that as well. Now, just a little bit more clarification for a 14-day rolling period. Just keep in mind that that begins on the first date of a positive case. So if we were to come back on January 4th and we had a positive case, and the 14 days start from that particular point. If somebody were positive and they were out in distance learning or home for the holidays, the 14-day period does not count towards the school district or that 14-day rolling period. So what if a student member was not in the building? Probable cases are only counted when they're physically present within the school district. So we have a little bit of time over Christmas break. If a student is engaged in full remote learning and then comes back and tests positive, the 14-day rolling period starts on that particular day. Another question was, when does the school building's case count reset? Once you break for the 3 to 7 days or 14 days, and you come back in, it starts the 14 days over. So theoretically, you were able to isolate or quarantine people and ensure that everybody's following up with the Department of Health. So in closing, I know we need to get back into school with our students. Everybody wants the kids back here, and I'm right alongside them. But I also want to do it in a very systematic manner that's going to ensure that we're not only in compliance, but also that we're keeping students and staff healthy. And I know we've been closed for an extended period of time. It's uncomfortable for everybody. But the good news is we are getting better with our distance learning program, and students are being educated. I just think that when we do get back in here, we should bring everybody back. If we stay in remote distance learning on January 4th, we can bring back our Career Center students when they open up. The IU classrooms will be opening and physically present on January 7th, and we could get started with the athletic program. I know we discussed about bringing in some of our more needy students at the last meeting, and as much as I would like to bring back certain groups of students, I'm not sure how we could differentiate between which students need to come back or not. So I really firmly believe that we either stay remote or we bring everybody back. I think that all students deserve to be coming back. If we wait for that 14-day gestation period after Christmas, I feel as if we can get back up and running, to the best of our ability. And Jen, that concludes my piece on it.
Okay, so all right, folks, this is our turn for the discussion at this particular point. So let's hear what folks have to say.
Can we just get a reminder as to when the grading period ends?
Yes, the last day of the grading period is January 14th.
This is Lena. I just want to say that my stance stays the same and that we follow David's recommendations.
This is Jameen. Are we still not looking at hybrid at all? Is that not an option?
I think the hybrid program is always an option, Jameen, but at this time, it's not a recommendation. I think that we'd have too many moving parts. And I actually listened to a doctor who was part of the Harvard Infectious Control Center, and he said that sometimes having hybrid programs set up could actually cause more of a problem with half the students being out and half the students being in, and they flip-flopping back and forth. Just a recommendation. I mean, but it is an option.
And have we considered having just the elementary come
I
back and leaving? I'm sorry, this is still Jameen. Have we considered letting the elementary come back and doing the high school just remote still? Is that an option?
Yeah, I think that's, I think anything here we can.
I agree with that. I think we should bring them all.
Okay.
This is Carrie. I would love to see the elementary school kids come back as much as I want to see all kids come back. I'll repeat what I said at our last meeting that, I've read studies that especially kids K through 8, this is not necessarily the demographic that this is affecting to a serious degree, and that it's more beneficial to have them in school than not. And I think parents are frustrated, they're playing teacher. I would love to see the elementary school come back, if that's doable.
I agree. I'd like to see the elementary come back as well, and possibly January 5th, if that's an option. Because I know these kids really do need in school.
I mean, I'm thinking waiting 4 more days and coming back on the 11th and bring them all back. I think if we're going to open, we bring them all back.
Well, if we agree to, this is Jameen, if we agree to January 11th for them all, yes, definitely, that's the best solution. But if we're not going to agree to them all, let's at least bring back the elementary kids. This is, everybody's just, as Carrie said, that's the better place for at least the elementary kids. But I was just looking at the calendar. So are we considering 2 weeks from Christmas, the 25th, or are we considering 2 weeks from December 31st? That's why I wasn't sure why it keeps getting pushed back more and more.
I just thought that since we have a workshop on January 11th, we could discuss it. And I know the Educational Planning Committee talked about that January 14th, the end of the 9 weeks. And we could ease the students back in. They could do a Thursday, Friday, would have Monday off, and then it'd be a 4-day week. So we just thought that we'd review the numbers on that January 11th. But again, it's just all up for discussion, and having smaller populations, there is a really good idea behind that. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
I'd be okay with pushing it back to voting the 11th to come back on the 14th. I guess as long as we're in agreement that, we want to bring all the kids back. Because if we just keep pushing it back and pushing it back. So I would, want to see some type of agreement that we're ready for the 14th to be when we bring everyone back.
My concern is that the numbers continue to rise. Oil City was on the list for the 19th highest climbing numbers in the United States, which is my county, Venango. So my concern is that if the numbers continue to rise, I have no problem bringing the kids back on the 14th if the numbers are not continuing to rise. I don't want to put any child in jeopardy, and nor do I want to put any grandparent or parent in jeopardy.
This is Jameen. So I'm confused. We have a workshop on January 11th, but we don't vote on the 11th, do we?
No, typically at workshops, we don't vote. That's something that we would have our discussion on the 11th, and then we would vote on the 18th. The 18th, yeah, that's the next one.
This is Diane Page. I think we just keep pushing it back and pushing it back. We need to get these kids in school now.
This is Carrie. I think we need to agree to something tonight, and then if there are substantial changes or, if things kind of take a downward spiral between now and the 11th, then at the 11th we can make that decision. But I think we need to have an answer tonight and a date tonight if we are going to bring kids back, rather than saying let's push it back till the 11th and we'll discuss it again and then vote on the 18th. We need to discuss it now.
I agree with Carrie. I think we should vote tonight and just say that if we're going to go with the 11th, we bring them all back on the 11th.
I'd agree with that.
Other thoughts from anybody else we haven't heard from yet?
Oh, this is Corey. I liked Megan's idea about doing the end of the grading period, the 13th, 15th, bring them back. And then that gives us a little bit of a window on the 11th for us to kind of make that decision. And if the cases are still going up, then on the 11th, we make that decision and change. But at least we got a little bit of a window after the 11th. Gives a few days for teachers and parents and everyone else to know what's going on at that time.
Now, just so we're all clear, the last day of the grading period is the 14th. That's a Thursday. So we would have one day in on a Friday. I don't know that that matters to anybody. I'm just putting that out there so we're all clear. The 14th is the last day of the grading period. So that's Thursday. And then the 15th is the first day of the third quarter grading period.
This is Jameen. I just was thinking that if they could come back for a couple of days before the end of the grading period, that would give the kids that maybe are struggling a little bit of time to bring their grades up, because they could maybe get some hands-on help, face-to-face help, because maybe they're the kids that aren't able to get that. But, I know that's not a lot of time, but at least it would give them a chance if we brought them back before the end of the grading period. I think it'd be kind of ridiculous to bring them back on a Friday, then give them a Monday off, and then expect them to come back.
Yeah, that's true, Jameen, because the 18th is Martin Luther King Day. So that's a Act 80 day, I believe, for teachers. So yeah, so the kids would not be in school that day. So you're right. They would come back for a Friday and then have that following Monday off.
This is Kelly. I agree with Jameen in that if they're back in the classroom a couple days, perhaps the teachers can help them get a few things made up that might get their grades up a little bit, things that they haven't been able to accomplish at home during this time off. So that would give them a few days to catch up on some work before the grading period ends.
This is Megan. I'm fine with that. I don't see a problem with the 11th versus the 15th.
This is Carrie. I agree with that also.
Mark, I'm good with that. I'm good with that too. The only thing, if the cases do go up, how do we want to figure that out? Will we have to have another special meeting, or could we make a motion contingent on cases, or leave it up to David, or how do we want to do that?
This is Diane. Doesn't David decide that?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine keeping an eye on the cases, keeping the board updated, and if something happens, and again, if that order has not been lifted either, that may change things as well. So I can continue to monitor it. We can make a vote this evening for a return on the 11th, and I can notify the community. And if anything happens between now and the end of the first week of January, then we can reevaluate. And yeah, I can make that call.
Yeah, and that is true too, just to keep in mind what David said, because this order expires at 8 a.m. on January the 4th from the governor. So if for some reason that order would be extended, then of course, that's going to change what we do tonight. Whatever decision that may change whatever decision we make tonight. So it seems like we have
Jen, is that order?
Go ahead.
Jen, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me? I just wondered, does that attestation form end on the 4th as well? I can't remember.
Not the way I understand it, Kelly. It just continues on. It'll just fall back into the old order. The updated one will go away, and the one that was passed and updated again in November will stay intact.
David, isn't that form in effect
Okay.
until we're out of the substantial category for the county? That one that you signed?
I'd have to review it, Corey. I'm not sure if it's specifically designated the substantial category or not. I'd have to get back with you on that.
Yeah, I can't remember for sure either. I was thinking, Corey, that it was until the county's out of the substantial category. But I don't, I'm having a hard time recalling it right off the top of my head.
This is Diane. Do you want a motion?
Yes, if somebody would like to make a motion, then we can.
I make a motion, we open face-to-face January 11th.
This is
This is
Carrie.
Kelly. I'll second that.
Okay, so we've got a couple of seconds there. All right, does anybody else want to have any further discussion? All right, so the motion is that we return to face-to-face instruction on Monday, January the 11th. We'll have Tammy do the roll call.
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jen Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Nay.
Jameen Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
and Mark Bertel.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So at this particular point, as we stand right now, we will bring all kids back in both the elementary and high school face-to-face on January the 11th. Thank
I'll
you
be-
all for that discussion. I know it's a hard decision to make. So thank you all.
I'll be sure to notify the school community as well as everybody, all the parents and grandparents as well.
All right, great.
So I have a quick question about the sports.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Can you? Okay, the sports can begin to practice on the 4th. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We'll get started with the Career Center when they open up the IU classrooms and then the athletic extracurriculars. Really, I don't know if Scott or Jenny wants to get anything done, but it's all extracurriculars.
Sorry about that. Any other questions? All right, let's move on to transportation. Mark, can you do that one?
I'd be glad to. Item A, consideration to approve the ACV Transportation Procedural Guide 2020 through 2021, last update 12/4 of 20 as attached.
Second, Lena Southworth.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about this? Did you have anything, David, you wanted to add?
I know Lori's on right now. I'd like to defer to her. She had actually put that plan together and would be able to maybe address it a little bit better than me at this time. Lori?
I don't think I have anything to add other than the packet you were given. But if you have questions about it, I'd be happy to answer any questions you had about the plan. Jody also worked very hard on it with us. Just want to give her a shout out.
I thought it looked good for what I know about the transportation. So thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
I did send by email a copy of the procedural guide that we created to one of our auditors from this fall. And she said she thought it looked good and actually recommended that we create a similar guide for other areas. So.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? All right, I'll have Tammy call.
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jen Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
and Mark Bertel.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Item B, consideration to approve the performance audit corrective action plan for the period audit of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2019 as attached.
Lena Southworth, second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Anything you want to add, David?
Yes, Jen, I have a couple items. Just keep in mind that we had a finding on our audit because of the supporting documentation related to the $3.1 million received from the 2015-16 school year through the 2018-19 school year. So what Lori had talked about earlier was that transportation guide, which will be the basis and overarching plan for transportation. Within that, we've created vehicle stop-to-stop forms, which was one of the findings within there. And so we have a plan in place. Lori's already communicated this out to the contractors. In addition to that, we had hired on an assistant transportation director to help double check the accuracy of that documentation. And then also I've scheduled monthly meetings with both Lori and Jody, and we meet to review the stop-to-stop rosters. That is one of our goals. We still need to get out there to actually follow the buses as well. Part of our response is that the end of year report, Lori uploads it, Jody double checks the numbers, and then I go in and check off on it. So we have a plan in place to ensure that the data is correct, uploading it. And then the completion is coupled with a annual training. And there's not a whole lot of training out there through the Department of Education, but Emmy and Lori have participated in a transportation training through PASBO. We do have that documentation, and we'll review that periodically. So that's pretty much the corrective action plan that we have in place in a nutshell.
Hearing that, does anybody have any questions? All right, Tammy, will you call the vote, please?
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jen Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
Mark Bertel.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Lori and David, for the hard work on that, and please pass along our thanks as well to Jody. We appreciate it. Okay. At this particular point, we had put on here about having a discussion regarding the van contracts, but I think we're going to table this until our workshop meeting, correct, David? So we're gonna table this particular discussion until the workshop on January the 11th. And Corey, would you do the miscellaneous old business piece, please?
Yep. All right. Consideration to approve the workshop and regular voting meeting dates for 2021 as attached. So moved.
Diane Page, second.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about those dates? I think we have them all down, and you all had that, saw that. Okay, hearing nothing. Tammy, will you call the vote?
Carrie Armagost,
Aye.
Megan Dreher,
Aye.
Jen Fight,
Aye.
Diane Page,
Aye.
Corey Sherman,
Aye.
Lena Southworth,
Aye.
Janine Stump,
Aye.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Aye.
Mark Bertel.
Mark?
I think he might have lost connection because he just texted me and asked if I lost connection.
Oh, okay. And that, yeah, I don't see him on here either now. Yeah, we'll get back to Mark on that, but we're going to say that the motion carries anyhow, just based on the number. So we will keep that those dates and things for the workshop and the regular voting meetings. So great. Now we had a little. Go ahead, Kelly.
I just needed to bring up I talked with some of the van drivers today, and they've given me some information to share with the finance committee. So can I email that to you?
Sure.
Or who would you like me to send that to? Some suggestions about in the discussions with the finance committee, some ideas.
I think if you send that to Mark and to David.
So send it.
Yeah, Megan, Corey.
Okay.
That's part of the committee.
I will do that.
Great. So Mark, Megan, and Corey, because they're on the finance committee now. Perfect. All right. Now, the only other item that we had discussed was an executive committee, a quick executive committee meeting. So what we're going to do is we are going to vote to adjourn this meeting to an executive committee. David will send out the link real quick. We'll close this link out and we'll open a different link up. Okay. So if somebody wants to make that motion.
This is Lena. I make a motion to adjourn.
This is Kelly. I second that.
Okay, Megan or Kelly's got that. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect.
Aye.
All right. So folks, if you want to close this link out, David will email you one and just jump back onto that one. Thank you all very much.